Alexandre Aja is back with a new movie and I had seen 2 of his previous films. The Hills Have Eyes, which I liked a lot, and The Ninth Life of Louis Drax, which I didn't like a lot. But to get even more familiar with his work, I decided to watch High Tension before watching this. And that one did live up to its name. It's an intense movie, however the twist at the end didn't really work for me at all. Now another reason I decided to watch these 2 movies back to back was the fact that I thought it would be interesting to compare one of his first films to a much more recent one. And the 2 movies are made almost 20 years apart, so yeah, it just was an interesting idea I had. But the problem is, I think I actually kinda did myself a disfavor by doing that. Because after watching a movie as intense and relentless as High Tension, that kind of energy is difficult to match. And while this one did try, comparatively it just came across as very tame. But had I not just watched High Tension, I might have very well found it to work much better. Now another problem I had from the very beginning, and I didn't even know this going into it, is that this is basically the movie Buried with Ryan Reynolds, except the sci-fi version of it. And I know a lot of people like that one, but for me it just felt a bit boring and it just stretched the very basic concept way too thin. And it didn't take me very long to start figuring out that this was essentially gonna be the same exact concept. However, I actually think this one did a better job because it did eventually get rather interesting. It added enough layers to it that just kept unfolding the further into the movie we got. And I can't even say I had a lot of specific issues with it, not a lot of distinct problems. There isn't a ton of stuff I can point to and say this was poorly done and that was just terrible. So my main gripe is just that I didn't at any point really get invested in it. It failed to connect and resonate with me on any sort of deeper level. And the problem is that I don't even know why, because as I said, I didn't really find many faults in it. On paper, I liked most things about this actually, on an intellectual level. I appreciated the acting, the writing, the filmmaking in general. It's just a competently made movie. And I don't know if I would have liked this more and gotten more invested in it if I hadn't just watched High Tension, but I do think there's a good chance that didn't help. And honestly, this one even started off very well with this Matrix-inspired, very claustrophobic opening scene. And as I hinted at, the deeper into the movie we get, the more things are revealed too. The layers get peeled back about who she is and why she's locked in a high-tech box, and that part was definitely intriguing to me. The reveals toward the end also actually made sense and were really interesting to me. But I guess the real problem is the middle part just didn't do much for me, as it feels like it sort of was just spinning its wheels. Not a whole lot of progress is made, and that is a problem with a movie like this. How do you make it feel like the story is constantly moving forward when the entire movie takes place inside a box? It's difficult, and while this didn't do a terrible job with it, I don't think it really came up with a great way to deal with it either. But anyway, I don't know. I might have made a mistake watching a very intense horror movie right before this. Or perhaps it just failed to really grab me and capture my imagination all on its own. It's impossible to say, but as I didn't have any real concrete issues with this, I'm kind of inclined to still give this a solid 6. Boop. But yeah, if you're into slightly more cerebral sci-fi, maybe check this one out. Or you could also not do that, after all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel, because that would be fantastic.